Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show. We're here, meow, to talk about the NBA as well as maybe a little bit of Thanksgiving fun that we'll mix in. Stu, the studio cat, making his presence known early on in today's show. We'll see if he sticks around. But Keith, excited to get through the basketball topics we've got today. As I'm getting a cat tail in the face. And he is just like, I am determined to ruin the show. You need to go cook turkey for me right now. He's a demanding little thing. Keith, Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow. We won't have a show tomorrow. Pumpkin pie. I'm the only one in my family that likes it. What is your go-to Thanksgiving dessert?
I generally like an apple pie or an apple crumble. This year we're doing we did Thanksgiving today because we just family stuff with travel and all that, and we ended up going with carrot cake, pecan pie, and a like mixture of these mini bundt cakes. And the mini bundt cakes were pretty good this year. So I'm like the only one who really likes like apple pie. Like nobody else likes apple pie or apple crumble. So I like you and pumpkin pie. I kind of have to be on my own to get it. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
That's the challenge is getting through an entire pumpkin pie by myself. I didn't break down and buy one. I am actually doing the solo Thanksgiving this year. So I'm making whatever I want. I'm debating though, do I want, because I forgot to grab one last time I was at the store. Do I even want to bother trying to go to a store now to get one? I don't know if they're good, but is it worth going to a store the night before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's always
that's rough.
And you got to make sure you can get there too, because a lot of them close early and stuff.
That's true.
And all that. So we have a pizza place. It's a local pizza place, not a chain. That they're offering burnt turkey pizza insurance. So if you mess up your pizza, they're open, or mess up your turkey, they're open for pizza for you today.
That's smart.
Or tomorrow, rather, I should say. So yeah, smart on their part. So yeah, living in Orlando, it's such a weird place because a lot of we don't live in like a touristy area, but like we're not far from it. So it's like, if worst came to worst and we needed something, like all that stuff's still open in like the tourist areas because it's, there's every day is, a work day when you live in a tourist area.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty more Thanksgiving to sprinkle in here as our show goes along. But I guess let's get into some of our NBA topics here. We'll start with Jay Crowder and the Kings. Talking a deal currently. The Kings have not gotten off to the start that they would want in the Western Conference. And Jay Crowder, does Jay Crowder change that much for them? I know they're a team that could use some help on the defensive side of the ball, but is this version of Jay Crowder a difference maker?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. He wasn't great the last couple years. Like he had really kind of dropped off quite a bit. The Bucks had him. Let me rephrase a little bit. He had really fallen off with the Suns in the second year of that 3-year deal. Then remember, he sat out the vast majority of the next season before he got moved to the Bucks. And that year with the Bucks, he was just kind of he shot it well, but his defense wasn't where it needed to be. He only ended up playing in 18 games. Then his second year at the Bucks, he played in 50 games, but just he's not the same guy he once was. He's also 34 now. So you kind of start to wonder, like, all right, how much is really left in the tank? I think for the Kings, as you put it, they're 8-10. I think they need just another veteran leader. Another guy can maybe add a little bit of toughness to the team, and that's probably what they're looking at. My guess is if this comes to fruition, this will probably be another one of those non-guaranteed deals where Kings can get out of it easily if they want to. But why it's probably they're talking and not signing is Crowder probably wants a guaranteed or a chunk guaranteed or something. So that might be the impasse here.
And we know he is perfectly fine with waiting because we saw that with Phoenix. So we'll see if a deal comes together. I don't know that it fixes what ails the Kings. I also think the Kings are probably a bit better than what we've seen so far this season. Just like Minnesota. Like Minnesota, I'm sure it's not great seeing them below the playoff or play-in line in the Western Conference, but is it time to panic just yet for these teams? No, I think things probably right themselves with those clubs as the season goes on. So we'll see how that ultimately winds up, and if the Kings go after Jay Crowder and actually get a deal done or not. I don't know that I think most of the improvements they need to make have to be done internally or perhaps on the trade market. I don't think Jay Crowder signing or not signing is going to be a pivot point for the season.
Yeah, in a little bit for the Kings specifically, I'd like to see him play a little faster.
Sure.
Their pace, we're in year 3 of a 3-year slide in pace, and this year's the most that's dropped off. So I'm a little not super thrilled because they're a really good defensive rebounding team led by Sabonis, one of the best defensive rebounders in the league. He's also one of the best outlet passers. There's no reason when you have him doing that, you have De'Aaron Fox, one of the fastest players in the NBA. You could push pace a little bit more, but they don't. And I brought that up on social media, and a bunch of people turned it into they have DeMar DeRozan, like he plays super slow now. And,
it's like we always have to find someone to blame.
Yeah. This was an issue before DeRozan. I am sure there's some element of that has not helped their pace of play, but in part of it's Malik Monk's out. Malik Monk is the guy who flies up and down the court. And then I'm glad you brought up Minnesota. I watched the entirety of that Rockets Wolves game. Incredible game. Really, teams going at it really hard. That's one of the positive effects of the NBA Cup is we get these teams that go pretty hard in these November games. A lot of fun, but man, the Timberwolves, they are so reliant on Mike Conley. He's even played well this year, but just to be an organizer and to keep them settled, man, that's terrifying. It's 2007. Or 2007 is when he was drafted. It's 2024. Sorry.
I was going to say, Keith, did we just time travel?
Yeah, we might have. Trust me, I'm a little loopy here. I'm also
I want to go play some sports bets. Gray Sports Almanac. 2007. Yeah. We know what's coming.
So they but yeah, he was drafted in 2007. Like, to be this reliant on Mike Conley in 2024, like, that's not great. Right?
No.
Like, just to, have you be where you are. Like, they gotta find a way to split Edwards and Randall more because there's just way too many possessions where it is one of the two of them dribbling the air out of the ball, and then a grenade gets tossed to Jaden McDaniels or to Dante DiVincenzo, and they're not getting good looks. So I think Minnesota will get better. I think the Kings will get better, but question starts to become who's going to fall off in the West, right?
Sure.
There's not a ton of good answers for, all right, who do we really see dropping out? So just further, lends to the fact it's going to be a battle all the way through.
Well, Rob Dilling. I'm looking at the box score from last night's game, and we didn't intend to talk much about the Wolves here, but Rob Dillingham played 24 minutes. I think he's supposed to. Now. I think he's was supposed to be the heir apparent to Mike Conley, but still without Conley, they still have an issue there. Now, I do wonder though, Keith, if I am, and I don't have their salary sheet pulled up in front of me, but shouldn't they be knocking on the Nets door right now, talking about Dennis Schroeder? Wouldn't that make sense if you're the Wolves?
I mean,
not necessarily that he's an organizer, because he's not. That's not necessarily his style.
Right? Yeah, but now you're adding another score first guy into the mix with Edwards and with Randall. I think it's just. So I could tell you, I talked to some folks with the Wolves, and their hope was Rob Dillingham would be ready day one to be a backup Mike Conley. And then at some point by the end of this year, it would be pretty clear, all right, Dillingham's ready to be the starter. And maybe not this season, but next season, they'd flip, right? And Conley would age into the backup role. Dillingham would move into the starting role, and off we'd go. The issue was Rob Dillingham wasn't playing any defense at the beginning of the year, and most coaches are not going to put a rookie on the floor if they won't play some defense. So that's why he struggled to see early minutes. He wasn't even playing when Conley initially went out. Started playing. He played well against Boston in a close game. Now he played well in this game. I think he's earned his spot moving forward. But yeah, I think you just kind of like the Kings. Let's hope for internal improvement, because remember, second apron team, not super easy for them to make a trade either for a guy like Trevor. Right. They'd have to send out more salary than they take back, and that gets tricky. They can't aggregate. So how are you going to get their matching salary-wise? That's going to be hard.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to Donovan Clingan.
Jay Crowder to the Kings and spend 10 minutes on the
on the Wolves. That's okay. It's the day before Thanksgiving. I'm gonna blame the tryptophan that is not yet in our systems
In
for
mine,
why.
I already ate.
In yours, it is for you.
Yeah.
For me, though, I have no excuse other than the cat, distracting me. All right. So Donovan Clingan is out for 2 weeks. Keith, I look at this and I think my first reaction is, oh man, bummer. I really want to see Donovan Clingan out there playing. But then my second thought is, could this be a bit more of an opportunity than to showcase Rob Williams for a potential?
He's out too.
Is he out already?
He's in concussion protocol.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the
concussion. A game or two, right?
Right. But he's not out.
Really know. But yeah, I mean, You're not wrong. Like what had happened, because I don't know how many people have been dialed in on the Blazers. Let's be completely honest. DeAndre Ayton got hurt a couple weeks ago. He's been out about 2 weeks now. Donovan Clingan took over, was starting, and Rob Williams came back about the time that Ayton went out. So they were splitting the minutes between the two of them, and it was going okay. Clingan had he had the one game where he had 8 blocks, and then he had. Did you see his line the other night? Sean Hyken of the Rose Garden Report over on Substack highlighted this. He had 19 rebounds and no points. It's like the 11th time it's been done in NBA history. 7 of them were by Dennis Rodman. So
wow,
kind of gives you a sense of where that was at. But it was just kind of a weird game. And Scoot Henderson's out. The other guys are, let's just be kind and say they're looking for their own shots first before they're setting other dudes up. But yeah, and then Williams was playing the backup role and looked pretty good. He had played pretty well in a couple games. He did kind of the deal where it's like, oh man, he had 12 points, 10 rebounds, like 5 assists, 3 blocks, like did that stat stuffing thing that he could do. But yeah, that's the little bit of the bummer. It's just Scoot Henderson's also out with an injury. He's got a sore back. He got in a car accident.
I saw that.
Riding in a ride share, and sounds like they got hit. But yeah, I mean, it's just a messy team. And again, when the young guys are missing, this where it starts to flip if they miss too much time from a bad season to a lost season, and lost seasons are not what you want when you already know you're going to be bad.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
now, Keith, this is what's crazy. Because when you mentioned that stat line, I thought, oh, okay, well, it must be all defensive rebounds. No, there's 9 offensive rebounds. Because offensive rebounds are where you go right back up and you get a bucket. Yeah. How do you have 9 offensive, which is that is a behemoth performance. 9 offensive boards for one player. Like 9 offensive boards is a solid night for a team. But for one player to have 9 offensive boards and somehow none of those resulted in a basket for Donovan Clingan, honestly, we may never see a stat line like that again. 9 offensive rebounds and 0 points. I mean, unless it's 9 offensive rebounds for Ben Simmons, because he sure as hell isn't taking the layup.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it is Rodman like, right? Because that's what Rodman would do. Is because remember back then there'd be possessions where he'd pull down like 3 or 4. He could go up and he'd dribble it all the way back out and hand it back to Jordan when he was with the Bulls or whoever, and then go back and do it all over again. So yeah, definitely a weird stat line there. So, but I will say this for Portland, they've been relatively competitive recently in games. They were getting kind of beat up pretty good for a while there. A little bit more competitive, playing a little better. So yeah, we'll take that for what it's worth. But the injury part of it stinks without Clingan, without Henderson. Like that part's a bummer.
And Lauri Markkanen, knee contusion. He banged knees last night with Victor Wembanyama in a Jazz loss to the Spurs.
It was one of
those. I was at halftime of doing the play-by-play of the Lakers game, and I flipped over just in time to see the injury occurred, and it was a little bit of a sigh of relief in that there was contact because you're worried that he's down, and I said no contact is worse when it's a knee thing, but then how long he stayed down, I went, ooh, this may be worse than the typical. They bang knees, he'll be okay in a few minutes.
Yeah, and I think for the Jazz, very clearly, right, they're not gonna force anything. They're 4-13 now, so they're down there towards the bottom end of the standings. So it'll just be all right. Let's let this play out a little bit. We'll see where it goes. It'll probably be if it's a 2-week injury, it might end up being a 3 or 4 week injury or something like that. So I don't think they'll push him back anytime soon. They've already kind of leaned into the kids a lot more, which is fine. It's not even a criticism. Like, let's go. Like they're positioned for draft position. They want to be in the capture the flag race. Like, I think we're already got about 4 or 5 teams starting to line that up here as we turn towards the end of November, and that's about where it goes, right? They played hard for a month and a half, and now it's all right. Let's we kind of know what we are. Let's start looking towards the future a little bit,
and let's pay attention to those ping pong balls and some of the players at the top of the draft class. I would imagine that the Jazz, like somewhere, not in the locker room, of course, because the players are going to play to win, but the front office, that they just have these posters of Cooper Flag taped up all over their walls, and they're dreaming.
They might.
All right. Markelle Fultz is unsigned right now, not because teams are just crazy and not signing him, but apparently he's actually injured. And our pal Jake Fisher had something on this. It's good to at least, I mean, you don't want to hear that he's injured, but at least to get an answer to the mystery of why a player of Markelle Fultz's caliber is still sitting out there in free agency. It's because he's not physically able to play right now.
Yeah, and that part sucks. Like that. Yes. Awful. Like we wish he was able to go, but this is now clearly, I mean, we've all asked the questions like, is he just doesn't want to play? Nobody wants him. Like what's going on? Well, that now makes a lot more sense why he went unsigned over the summer. Cause let's be real. Markelle Fultz was going to be a minimum signing this year, and a team does not want to give minimum money, even if it's non-guaranteed in a roster spot, knowing he's probably not going to be ready to play for a little while. What they'd rather do is, hey, go rehab, get healthy, and we'll talk to you in January, February, whenever it is you're ready. And then we'll see. My guess is we'll see Markelle Fultz at some point this year. He'll show up on a roster somewhere, and then we'll see what it looks like and how he plays. But that's not. At least we have a little bit of clarity. Can I vent for a moment though?
Absolutely.
This is going to sound awful because I love our buddy Mark Stein. I love our buddy Jake Fisher. I love that they're teaming up together on the Stein line, doing the super stack, as Stein is calling it, with all the reporting. But this came out in a subscriber chat. They were asked a question, wait, what's going on with Markelle Fultz? And Jake reported like, oh yeah, he's actually gonna working through a knee issue. That's why he hasn't been signed yet. He's been working through it all, basically all last year. It's like now this is another place we have to watch for news. Like, come on, we go back to the halcyon days of tweeting everything. Like,
right?
What are we doing here? Like, it's like, man, this is like 85 different things open. Like, I just at some point I just want to watch basketball. Like, but yeah, that's a very minor vent, and I'm having a little bit of fun with it. But it is.
It's
one more thing.
It's fair. It's fair. I mean, it's like when like really important news for your team comes out at the 55th minute of a random podcast somewhere or something, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's just put it on Twitter or X or whatever. Just put it on there. Say it wherever you want, but put it there where everybody can actually see it, please. Please. And that said, though, I think most people probably are subscribed to Stein and now Fisher and their Substack, which is great. And check out the Basketball Bulletin Substack as well.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty great too.
It is. But to put it in like the comment section or like put it in a regular Substack post, and that I think that's fine as well. But put it in the regular post, man. You got to share stuff like that.
Yeah, my guess is this was solely because it got asked directly, like, hey, what's going on with Markelle Fultz? And I don't think they were planning on breaking Markelle Fultz news, or probably would have got put in one of their columns or something. But yeah, I'm just being cranky. Like, that's all. I'm just
that's fair.
Old man yelling.
It's the tryptophan is kicking in for you. That's all.
Get off my lawn.
All right,
kids.
Khris Middleton is getting close to a return. The Bucks surging now in the East, and good to see Khris Middleton getting close to coming back. He's obviously still a very important piece for them. Even as his effectiveness has kind of waned a bit over the years, which is to be expected. But they need him. They need him to be out there and providing some solid scoring, shooting, all of that. So good to hear that he's getting close now to a return. At least maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel here.
Yeah, I don't think Khris Middleton is ever going to be the defender he once was. He was for a while there. I like to call these guys like 3-and-D plus wings, where it's like they're 3-and-D guys, but they can also do more. So, which is usually on the offensive end. And he was definitely way more than that. And that's where I think they miss him more, is with the ball handling, some of the shot creation stuff he can do. Just one more guy who can help ease the load on Giannis and Dame. With this, Giannis they got a really good win last night. Like you said, they're moving now. They've won 5 in a row. They're back to 500. They won without Giannis in Miami. And
yeah,
Miami's not
very
what
close
Miami
game.
used to be. Yeah, very close game. And even though the Heat aren't what the Heat used to be, it's still kind of been like a house of horrors, right? For the Bucks over the years. They've had a lot of struggles with the Heat. And one of the things I thought was really interesting was this was one of the times where Dame really looked like Dame from Portland. Whereas, like, we're going to really spread the floor. He's going to play a ton of pick and roll. He's going to do stuff. Speaking of the basketball bulletin, I put in a couple clips. And I think with Milwaukee might work now is you almost become like two teams in a sense, especially on offense, where what you can do is you can run a set you want to run when Giannis is out there. And then when Dame has the keys and it's all him, let him run that kind of offense, right? You've got enough smart veteran guys. You could be a multiple offense team. You can do a lot of different stuff where you can do different things. And I think that would probably work a little bit better for them, just to give him a little bit more of that freedom of, all right, I'm not pinned into having to play off ball while Giannis has the ball and those other things. I can do more stuff. And that just could be a way to, maybe juice the offense a little bit in those non-Giannis minutes. Stu is checking in, man.
Studio Stu, he is like, it is almost Thanksgiving. You should not be recording right now. Yeah. You need to pay attention to me. Yeah. What he doesn't know is the Lakers play tonight, and I'm going to be sequestered doing the play-by-play for that in just a little bit. But so I'm sure he'll be
earlier, right? Tonight too. It's a 8:30 tip.
5:30 game. Yep, Pacific time. For LA. But yes, I don't hate that on a night like tonight too.
You gotta get off the schneid, man. It's been a rough go.
They can't make a shot. They're completely reliant upon their offense. And their offense has fallen apart. They've scored 79 points in the second half total of 2 games. So 4 quarters total, 79 points scored. They went from being a top 5 offense to, over the last 2 games, they've been 30th in offensive rate. Just the shot, just nothing falling. And I think it's in their heads. I don't want to turn this into a Lakers show because I already spent an hour talking about this today over on Lakers Nation. But I think it's in their heads. I think it's mental. I hope not. But it's almost like you could see it, like they're trying so hard to make the ball go in the basket in the third quarter because they're so worried. It's going to happen again. And it's not good. We'll see if they can break through whatever it is that's going on with them.
Also, far from breaking news, but God, the transition defense is horrendous. Like, so bad. And that's part of that is, the 2 key guys are, combined, what are they, 70 years old now at this point. Like it's so like that's gonna be that's probably gonna be a problem you're just gonna have to deal with. But 85, 90, whatever.
95, 117. I don't know.
Let's do one thing on it though. Then we'll flip it to end on a non-Lakers but positive note for the Phoenix Suns. I think we kind of got almost like this is like the idealized version, right? Like this is what you wanted from that pairing.
Sure.
They looked so, I would have thought they were in like game 15 together of like how good they looked. Like they were just in sync. And you know what I think helps? Tyus Jones does such a good job of getting them into something and then just getting the hell out of the way. Like that is such an underrated skill for a point guard that isn't like a ball dominant playmaker where he just gets them into something and gets out of the way. He's never like, oh, I passed and then I cut as Booker was driving into my cutting path. Like he just kind of knows what he's doing. Nurkic looked good. Like all around, the Suns played, really, really well. That's damn it, Trevor. I'm buying in again. Like they're my new Clippers. I'm all in on the Suns. I think they're gonna do it. I think they're gonna make a real run, and I'm gonna look like a moron again come playoff time. But I'm all bought in again.
The Suns are your new Clippers, Keith, but they are good, and obviously it makes a difference when that Kevin Durant guy plays. Which, by the way, was good to see. He is probable, I think, to play tonight as well. I was worried he would be in and then out. Beal though is questionable,
especially on the back-to-back. I thought they might be
exactly
a little more cautious. But KD is one of those guys who's always been like, hey, if I can play, I'm playing. Like he doesn't want to do the rest stuff. He doesn't want to do any of the load management stuff. So he wants to play. Hey, I added this too. We'll finish on this to have a little bit of fun here. So a little unscheduled nonsense.
Stu is so annoyed that we're talking here that he's decided to start knocking stuff off my desk.
Oh, nice. And he put his face off camera. He's like, I'm done. You don't even get to look at my face anymore.
Right?
This will be pretty quick because this is going back to now. It's three shows in a row. We've checked in on this topic. How much would it take for us to give up basketball? But there was a question that we have not addressed in the comments on that show, which was how much money would it take for one of us to go cover, like you to cover the Celtics for a year or me to cover the Lakers for a year? And they used the 2.5 million, which was the starting point of the original question. My answer is 100 million times yes. I would take 2.5 million to cover the Lakers and the Lakers only for a year. It's still basketball. Same. Like that's not even hard. Like I mean, I'm not gonna bargain against myself here, but it wouldn't take that much. It would not take that much.
You're supposed to say it would take 10 million and I would do it. But if you want to negotiate, then I'm open.
Not a very skilled negotiator here, but I mean, let's be real. Let's also be realistic. I'm not getting a Saturnalia miracle, as Sheldon from Big Bang called it, where they're going to come in and give me a give me a no one's flying in with an offer for me to cover the Lakers full time for any amount of money, but it would not take 2.5 million. That's still basketball. It's still basketball. Thrilled. I would not it's like we haven't talked this in a while. People are like, would you ever take a job with the Lakers? And you know what my standard answer is? I would paint my house yellow and purple if the Lakers wanted to hire me, and I'd root for them to win every game for as long as I worked there. Like that's I can be bought. Like I
have my price.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not that high. So if anybody's looking for a cameo, just hit me up. No,
so in other words, Lakers, give us a call.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, we're ready to go. If you want a yellow and purple house in the middle of Central Florida, just let me know. I'd rather not move because then I would need it as you, my friend, are very well aware. It takes a little bit of money to live in Southern California. So
just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. So that's all right. We'll be roommates. We'll live together. Me, you, and Stu, and we'll call it.
Yep. Good. And then we can just have it'll be like Joey and Chandler. We'll have dueling chairs.
Yeah.
And then we can just set up our camera. We'll each have a mic, and there we go. There we go.
Yeah, we'll order pizza to the girls across the hall and have them bring it over, so they have to keep bringing it over to us.
Perfect. See, look at that. Now, somebody call NBC. We're pitching a new buddy sitcom here. I think we got a winner. I think that's a winner.
Like I'm not sure it's great we so quickly abandoned our families, but we'll do all right.
Let's face it, they don't listen to this show anyway, and if they did, they wouldn't have gotten to this point without already flipping this thing off and discuss. So
make a fake account and subscribe, so there's no chance they're even listening to it. So that's why we need you guys to subscribe to make up for the fact that our families don't. Please help us out here if you can. So
our families get enough basketball. They're like, we don't need to listen to you anymore.
Yeah. On the non-nonsense, Thanksgiving I know means a million things to a million different people. If you're off, enjoy the family, food, and football. The 3 F's of Thanksgiving. You'll have some fun. If you need some basketball, there's some good college basketball on. There's 14 games tonight. Record a couple and watch them tomorrow if you want some NBA. That's what my plan is. I'm going to record a whole bunch of games. Everybody but the Celtics and Bucks play tonight, so it's an extremely busy night. Mm-hmm. You'll find a recap at sometime tomorrow on the Basketball Bulletin, and then I'm going to take Friday off unless the urge hits me. I may do some more college scouting notes because I have a whole new set of notes because I've been watching a ton of college hoops this week with stuff. So I have a whole new set of notes for a bunch of guys. And coming in a couple weeks over in the Basketball Bulletin, time to sign up. I'm going to do an update to my initial big board for the NBA draft. I'm going to do my first update.
Go.
I'm moving some guys. I'm moving some guys up the board. And whenever that happens, you got to move some other guys down. But I feel pretty confident where I'm going with that. We're basically a month into the college basketball season, and we'll go from there. So
yeah. Exciting stuff, everybody. Thank
Black
you.
Friday deals.
Yeah, hopefully there's some good stuff. I got to start really digging into all that. Maybe that's what I'll do after the game tonight. I'll start digging into Black Friday deals. I'll spend some time tomorrow as well.
Best Black Friday deal going. 100% free. Subscribe to the NBA Front Office Show.
That's right.
Man, you get
That's
5 days of content there. Live show on Fridays.
Can't
no
beat
show
it.
tomorrow. We'll figure out Friday. We'll do some form of Front Office Friday fun, and we'll have a good time chopping it up about whatever y'all want to bring to us that day.
That's right. That's right. Thank you again, everybody. Till then, see ya and stay safe.